Hello there, beautiful people. This is the Remnant Circle podcast. Welcome. If you are new, a big welcome to you. If you're returning, you already know what we do. But for those who don't know what we do, first of all, my name is Akosua Peprah. I am the founder, the producer, and the host of the podcast. On this podcast, it's all things to do with Jesus and also mental wellness. The episodes that you found on this podcast are episodes that are supposed to encourage you, educate you, and equip you on your walk with Christ. I'm saying that with guests as well, where they share their stories so far, their insights, their ups and downs, their lessons they've learned, the things they had to unlearn to get to where they are at the moment. You can find us on all social media platforms. The Remnant Circle is the with 2 E, so the Remnant Circle on TikTok and also Instagram. Please, if you're watching me right now on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. A lot of you watch, but not a lot of you subscribe. We need a subscription, we need a likes, we need a comments that we share and everything. It takes us a long way. If you're also listening to me on Apple or Spotify, wherever you listen to me from Google Podcast or anything, you can also subscribe as well, follow the podcast as well. It takes us a long way. Thank you so much once again, and let's get straight into this episode. Hello there, beautiful people. Welcome to the Remnant Circle with your host, Akosua Peprah. Welcome to season 3. This is the first episode of season 3. I am so happy to have you here. If you are new, a big, massive welcome to you. And if you are returning, you've been with us from season 1 or season 2, and you're just coming into season 3, welcome. This is going to be a really great season. I want to start this season off with a testimony first. So I want to take you guys back, right, to the moment that I really surrendered to God, okay? Because I felt like a lot of like Christians, especially, I'll say a lot of Christians, some people are obviously born into Christianity and they grew up in it and they've been that their whole life. And there's some people also maybe was born into other religions and then converted along the way. Others too, maybe they were born into Christianity, maybe they diverted a little bit, or maybe they went into other things before, and maybe then God, maybe they found a way back or something. Yeah. So I just want to tell you guys my story, first of all, because I think some of you might know a bits and pieces of my story, but I don't actually know the full thing. I've never really sat down to really say my full thing and how God literally like arrested me. The moment that he really arrested me, he said, baby, you stuck. Okay. It's okay. So I want to take you guys through that today. So this is really Akosua Peprah's testimony with Jesus. That's gonna be the title. Yeah, that's gonna be the title. So let's start from the beginning. So I come from a family where my mother is a Muslim, my father is a Christian. My mom was born into Islamic. She's been that her whole life, like growing up and everything. My grandparents on that side, they're all Islam, like family. Up to today, they all are. So my mom grew up like that. And when she met my dad, she was my dad. I knew she was a Muslim and they found their way. And my dad never really cared for her to convert or anything like that. But she wanted to convert herself. So she converted to Christianity like after they got married, like along her own way. And she always says that even like with her friendship groups, and even though she lived like in a very predominant Muslim community in Ghana, in Siane, that's where we're from, BA, she always had friends that was like Christians and always like sometimes even went to church and things like that. And my grandmother was never the kind of woman that's like, oh, because we're Christians you can't hang around, because we're Muslims you can't hang around with Christians, or you can't, you have to like be in this, or you have to like marry from the same thing or do the same thing. My grandparents they're very open-minded. They've always been very open-minded. So she very, very much was able to like express and like, have different friends and everything, even though the community she lived in and grew up in is like all around is all Muslims. So she met my dad and everything. She converted along the way and stuff. My dad, he is Christian, Methodist. They've been that their whole life. Both my grandfather, my grandmother on that side have been that their whole life and everything. After today, they're still Methodist. So I came into the picture and my dad traveled very early on, I think. Yeah, and after my mom also traveled, like literally I was like still very much of a baby. So my grandparents really raised me, my mother's side. So I was raised as a Muslim. I was raised, I did the Eid, we did all of the everything, right? I was raised as a Muslim. I was raised as a Muslim all the way through to then. My grandmother dressed us up. I know I used to go to Maslachi and everything. I have a Muslim name. Yeah. All of it, right? Even the way I was, like in Christianity, when they give birth to like the children, they go to a church and then they dedicate them to Christ. Me, I was dedicated to like Islam. Like that's what they did. They didn't take me to the church and do baptism and dedication to Christ and all those things there. They did it. My one was all Muslim way. It was my siblings after that was like all Christian way. Yeah. So that is my story of like childhood and a bit of my background, right? So when I came to this country is when I really started to go to church. And my parents, obviously, they go to Methodist. So in London, we go to Methodist church. And I started really going to Methodist. So, we had the whole Sunday school thing and everything. Growing up, I have always had the gift of being a dreamer. So I have very prophetic dreams. And I have dreams that is just very, very detailed. I've always had very detailed dreams since I was a child, right? But I never really understood it too much until I was about maybe like 12, 13, when it started to like really be a thing where I'll see certain people in my dreams maybe giving me certain things or teach me certain stuff. And because like I don't really know much about it, I was only like 12, 13, I almost just tell my parents. But my parents, they're not the proper spiritual people. Like, yes, I would actually say, to be very honest with you, they're more of like they're just churchgoers. My dad is very much, my mom is, yes, they pray, they do all of that. But to be really realistically and growing up now and really understanding the differences and stuff, they're more of churchgoers, really. But they still took God seriously. And they still obviously we all grew up in Methodist and in church and everything. My siblings and I went to church, went to all of that stuff there. We understood prayer and all those things there. But really, my household wasn't like the proper, the morning devotions and the, all of those things there. Like, I didn't grow up like that. It was very much very open. So my parents didn't really know what to. So at some point, I think they thought I was lying. Like, every day is you having dreams. Every day is this one. Some of the dreams, they're like, we don't even know what you're talking about. What do you saw this person in your dreams and this person said this? But sometimes they'll be like, how the heck did she know that? Because there'll be some things to do with the family that I'm too young to know that. And no one's ever told me. So how the heck does she know that those details? And it's because I was able to, God was just revealing it to me. And because my parents didn't really understand why I had the gift that I had and probably like how to steward it, it made me get into a lot of things of trying to figure out myself. So from 12, 13, 14, 15 through, church and everything, I started asking my Sunday school teacher a lot of questions. Like, I'm the kind of person, I'm very inquisitive. I ask a lot of questions. You will not come and tell me one thing and expect me to just sit and be like, okay, let's go. No, I'll ask you, where are we going? Why are we going there? What we're going to do? How long would you be? I'm that kind of person. I like to ask questions and I like explanations into things, right? So because my parents didn't really have answers, the questions that I had about God, the questions that I had about my dreams, the questions that I had about so many things I was really seeing, that was like, I was too young to be seeing those things. I was too young to figure out myself. It was really my parents or somebody around me that should have really stewarded me. But because I didn't have anyone around that was able to do that. My dad tried though. Because sometimes my dad would like pick up the Bible and then I'd be asking questions and then he'd be going into certain things. I remember my dad really told me I had to like pray a little bit. And I still use that prayer up to today. He told me always, like, when you pray, one thing I never forget to pray about is pray for wisdom, understanding, discernment, and knowledge. And he told me that from like 10 years old. And I still have to do that up to today. So my parents did the best that they could with what they had and the knowledge that they also had, right? But because they didn't, the things I was seeing and the way like things were going, it was just so much that I just started doing my own research. So I remember I would like start asking my Sunday school teacher questions, and then some questions she wasn't able to answer me. I remember the first question I asked and I was like, nah, there's something wrong here. I got to figure this out myself. was when I was about 14, 15, and I was reading Genesis, right? And it was into Enoch. And I did see one line about this man who God rose up into the heavens and he has so much revelations of how God created the world, but nowhere else do you see his name being mentioned again. And I'm like, I want to know more about him. What did he see? Because sometimes some of the things that they're saying, it be relating to my dreams a little bit. So I'm like, I want to know him. Like, I want to know more about him. Like, does it connect to like some of the things I've been seeing in my dreams sometimes? Because it says that God, opened his eyes to see this and, see some secrets and all these things. Like, I was like, I was just a kid that she just wanted to know more. And I remember my Sunday school teacher actually told me, you're too inquisitive and curiosity kills the cat. You need to stop. And again, I think she just didn't know what to say. Sometimes she doesn't have the answer to the question and you just kind of don't want to tell the person you don't have the answer. You just tell them, oh, just stop and leave it there. It's none of your business kind of thing. But I was too ahead of my age for you to come and like tell me, or just leave it. Like you couldn't. I was too ahead of my age as a kid for you to try and play my mind like that. You just couldn't. So I started reading other books. I remember I started doing more research into Enoch, and I found the book of Enoch, right? And I still have the book up to today, and I started reading it. And obviously through my research, I started diving into things that was not really God. I'll say it wasn't really God, but I was too young to know that. It wasn't God. It was, I'll say a little bit of the new age things now that's out there, but I started reading. I read the Bible sometimes and I'm like, and I'll start watching things on YouTube. Okay, this person said this. Okay, so what does John mean here? And I'll instead of like, having somebody they can just go to and just like ask them and they will shepherd you and like disciple you, I was going to YouTube, I was going to the internet. The internet is full of a whole lot of stuff that is, my God. Yeah. So I got really confused. I started to get confused. Now my dreams didn't stop. My revelations and just like having really in depth of like wanting to know God, that hunger in me wanting to know God never stopped. It has never stopped. Even when I started getting into the internet and started listening to certain things that wasn't really of God, but I didn't really know much at that time. And I went through a time of being a seeker. That's why I call it the seeker stage. And I think people that have similar backgrounds to me or like went through the similar things, like, growing up like how I did and not really having somebody to really disciple you really properly, you kind of go through the stage of being a seeker where you kind of like go through all this or you have this and then it's like, nah, I really want to know this. And then sometimes you just might go, you go so deep. So that's why I started like, I'll go to the library. I want to read books about God. I want to read books about, interpretations on like, what did they say here in the Bible? Like who's Enoch? Like, okay, what other people are there in the Bible that, God was showing them things and, can I find out more, I spent about 3 years from the age of maybe probably 15, 16, 4 years. I spent about 4 years being a seeker. And I was still very close to God. I still prayed. I still like, but there were information and knowledge that I was soaking up that was not really tallying with God. It wasn't. And thank God that I never went deep to where like it was demonic. People start practicing demonic shit and witchcraft and start practicing things as like, they go deep into that stuff and sometimes they can't even come back, or it really takes maybe a man or woman of God to deliver them or something through God and stuff like that. I never went there. But I just was like having knowledge, the esoterical knowledge, those like forbidden knowledges and things you read in the books and stuff. And, all this, I was basically I just knew about those things. Like, so when I see people talking about certain things, I always just knew like, those, that's the best I can explain it. So I think I was about maybe 19 there when I started uni. I was still on the path of being a seeker and really trying to learn about this world and trying to learn about why am I here? I started going on this journey of like, why am I here? Because I really wanted to understand like what's my purpose and what is my calling and what's my mission here? Because I remember like in the Bible where it was like, Jesus had a mission, right? He came here for a reason. He didn't just come here to just be here and just sit down and just talk to people and just leave. He had a mission. Matthew, all of them, like they had a mission. Like there was a reason why God chose them. If you look at Abraham, you look at the Old Testament, they all had a mission. They all had a purpose. That's something that a part that they played in this world. A part that they played, like either it's minor or either it was like was a very massive one. From Hannah to everybody had their thing, and I got to realize that in the Bible. I was like, so what's mine? Like, and that also, again, contribute to being a seeker of like trying to figure out like, who are you and what are you here to do and what's your purpose and what is your assignment? And I've always had this fear, and I always tell people like, my biggest fear is my fear has always been since I was a child is like being on this earth and what God has created me to do or to be and why he put me here, not being able to accomplish it or not doing that and just going completely wayward or going to do something completely different to what God really put me here to do and not fulfilling the assignment and the purpose that why he brought me here in the first place. And then when he asks me up there on Judgment Day, I'm like, well, I went along my own will, I figured it out. I don't want that. Even if I make money, I become a millionaire, I become rich, become famous, all these things that people want. But as long as if I'm not walking according to like what my will, God's will is for me, I don't want any of it. And that has always been me. And that again played a part into being a seeker. So from I think 18, 19, I started to really like start asking those questions. So I'll start watching certain shows. That the Oprah show at that time, right? I forgot what it was like one of the Oprah shows. She really was into purpose and, being aligned. And I started listening to women like that and like people like that. I was talking about purpose and calling and understanding. I just started learning more. But I never went away from God because I still prayed. I still listened to sermons. I still read the Bible. I still, knew God. I never went away. Those people that go away and they're like, oh, I don't believe in God anymore, or like, they don't believe in Jesus. I never went through that one. Thank God for that. Because maybe maybe I wouldn't be here, or maybe like other, because some people go into that and they don't come back, or some people go into and it leads them to death because they start worshiping Satan and start worshiping things they shouldn't be worshiping and getting into stuff like, I'm sure you've heard some testimonies that are like that. It's really like the mercy of God that will bring them out of that. So thank God I didn't. I think God did it on purpose. Like he allowed me to search, he allowed me to, read and, pick up knowledges and listen to people, listen to things that wasn't really of him, but it gave me so much knowledge of what I wanted and what I didn't want. Because some people are listening sometimes and I just knew that this one is this is too deep, this is not God. And sometimes too, I just will be confused and I'm like, okay, this sounds something like God, this sounds like something that I like. There was a night that I had a dream, and God, I always tell people that God is so intentional. Like, don't ever think that your life is you're just walking around or you're doing anything you want and God is just sitting there and he doesn't care about you, or he doesn't see what you're doing. Everything that happens in your life, I'm talking about experience and looking back, like everything that happens in your life, trust me, either good or bad, either you went through confusing times, you went through the seeking times, you went through the whatever time period you went through, whatever you went through in life, right? Trust me, God sees it and he knows it. And he will know when to intercede. Is that the word? Intercede? Yeah, intercede. And he knows when to sit back and just watch you and let you do your thing. He knows God knows what he's doing. Okay? He knows what he's doing. Around that age, like 1920, I had a dream. And a dream that I had, at that time too, that's when I started to understand meditation. So I listened to people like Oprah in it. So Oprah is really into meditations and yoga. If you know, you know. So I started, the whole, yoga, meditating, understanding, your purpose and your calling, and, being still and letting the universe speak to you. Like I started getting into all of that and really just trying to find like myself in that. And okay, meditation. I started practicing meditation and everything. And I started learning about what's it called? Astro travel. No, that's what we call it. Astro traveling and all those things there. But I never did it. There's people actually like lay down and actually like astral project. Like they actually learn it and they do it, and it's very demonic. And I thank God I never did all those things there. I just knew them. I just learned about them because I was like, okay. But meditation is what I did actually practice. And I still practice meditation up to now. But the meditation that I do now at that time is totally different. Because meditation now that I do is on the word of God, and it's also in a place of like in Christ. It's not in a place of like trying to look for things outside of God, really, or trying to look for things within me that doesn't really tally with God, like how I used to do it back then. So yeah, and I had a dream. And in the dream, I was basically just like walking, and it looked like a bit like a marketplace, right? And it's like a madman walking, and people are like looking at him, and some people are throwing tomatoes at him, throwing to him like, go away, like, don't come here. There's like people that doing food, or people that, just sitting around like groups and stuff like that. It looked like a marketplace. And I felt so much compassion for him. And he wasn't innocent. It wasn't like he was just standing there. No, he was also fighting with them. And I was just like, had so much compassion. I was like, he's mad. Like, he doesn't really know what he's doing. Like, why are people being so, why no one helping him? And he was like naked. And I was like, why is no one helping him? Why is no one clothing him and everything? Why is no one putting out clothes around him or some kind of a cloth or something? So I started just looking for like a cloth, like looking for something like that can just wrap around him and just get him like away from them. But I couldn't find anything. I was just looking around. So I went closer to him. And all of a sudden I just started praying over him. Like I just started praying over him with the people around and everything. And then all the people that was there was like, shouts, and they all just stopped and just listened to my prayer. They were just listening to me. And then the man was just standing there listening to me. He wasn't talking. He was not crying. He wasn't doing anything. He was just listening. And I was just praying over him and like just declaring things over him. And I was just like, it's kind of like, and now I would say basically deliverance. I was basically doing deliverance. And the spirit that was in him started to speak to me. It was like, who are you and why do you think you can be praying for us? And it wasn't him. And now I know more. I know, I get it now. It wasn't him. But in the dream, it wasn't him. It's like he was speaking, but it wasn't him speaking. It was demons that was in him. What possessed him to be mad? That was basically speaking through him. It was like, why are you praying for us? It wasn't like, why are you praying for me? It was, why are you praying for us? We haven't asked you, who are you? So I kind of just kept my mouth shut. And then I started praying again. And then a man comes up to me. But the man is like, this is a man, somebody standing on my shoulders, right? I know this is a man standing on my shoulders. But I can't see him like how I see a regular person standing. You can see what they're wearing, you can see everything. But I know there's a presence on my shoulder, right? On my left side here, standing next to me, like right next to me, like side by side. And they're a man, and they're taller than me, and they're standing there. And their voice is a man's voice. Like everything is like, this is a masculine energy that's standing next to me. And it's like doing my name. And I look up and I'm like, Jesus? He's like, yeah, do it in my name. So I started declare, I was like this, in the mighty name of Jesus, leave him now. I deliver you, da, 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 da. And the man was actually delivered. And when I started seeing him just screaming, like he was just screaming on the floor, screaming. And then he just got up and then he hugged me. He's like, thank you so much. Thank you for delivering me. Thank you for praying for me. And all the people that was there, and the way it looked like a marketplace, like all the people that was throwing things at him, all the people that, you know, was like in that market, they all just like coming to me, just like laying on the ground. And then I woke up. When I woke up, I didn't know even to tell, I didn't have anyone to go and tell that dream to. And I think that's one thing that God also did with me. He kind of isolated me a lot. Yeah. Because even uni, through my whole life, looking back, I've always been quite isolated, like friends or like being around big group of people. It's not like I didn't want to, but I just never really had anything in me that pushed me like, oh, go and be friends with other people, like go and do this or go and like find a community and all these things there. I tried to find a church when I went to Kent, when I went for uni, but I just couldn't find anything that sat well with my spirit. I went to one church and everything in me was saying leave. And that was it. So I just started doing church in my room. Like I'll listen to my sermons in my room, I'll pray. And, you know, before I had that dream. So I woke up and I knew that was Jesus. Like I knew right there that this was my calling. This was my purpose. You know, that seeking that I've been seeking. And, you know, I went through from 14 looking for, God will sit down, right, and allow you to do what he wants you to do. And at his own time, the time that he has ordained for it to happen, he will reveal things to you on his own time. He also will pull you in at his own time. When I woke up, I knew that was an answer to my question I've been asking God. Because I was praying about it. I was like this, God, like, what's my assignment? I'll be meditating as I'm like, God, like, what am I here for? I don't want to miss my mark. I don't want to miss my assignment. So God knew that this girl has been going on this journey of seeking from 14. She's asking all these questions. I haven't brought anyone around her to answer those questions. The people that she has around her right at the moment, they don't answer any questions for her. But God did that. I thought he did that all on purpose. She just wanted me to be on that journey by myself. But he still had mercy for me where he kept me, where I didn't go into anything too deep, or I didn't go into anything satanic worship, and I didn't go into anything crazy stuff that was like, would like killed me or, you know, pulled me into things that I could maybe not come out of. Like he had that mercy over me. It's like he still shielded me, but he allowed me to like maneuver off a bit. And I knew that was the answer to my question, that I'm going to work for you, Jesus. Like, I know that's what you're telling me. I'm going to do something. But again, I didn't have anyone. I didn't have no pastor, no spiritual mothers and fathers and all these, you know, things that people usually have at church, and papas and mamas and all these things. I didn't have any of that. So I just continued, you know, but I knew in me that, okay, that is my purpose, is to deliver people. But I didn't tell anyone. And first of all, I didn't even have to go and tell my friend. I had a couple of friends, but how am I going to go to my friend that I saw Jesus in my dream and then Jesus basically told me to say he's in my and I delivered the madman? Like, first of all, girl, what do you mean you saw Jesus? I knew it would sound crazy. I didn't tell nobody. It was only recently that I actually told like my boyfriend. And I think I told my dad like a year or 2 years after that. Because that dream always haunted me. It was like, I never forgot that dream. I think, I told my dad, maybe about 2 years ago, I told my dad that dream as well. And he was like, why didn't you say anything at that time? I was like, because I didn't know how you're going to react. You're going to think I was crazy. I know you're thinking I'm crazy now. He's like, yeah, but I know who you are. Like, I get it. So I'm not, maybe at that time I thought you're crazy, but no, I don't think you're crazy now. And that was really my story of like how God kind of pulled me back in. And then obviously God still kind of left me. So I was still going on, you know, meditating, yoga. I know God, but, you know, I'm still learning things that, you know, it's a little bit outside of God, you know, kind of like dibbling and dabbling. In 2022 was when he really was like, it's time now. Like, this is the time I want to, it's time now. Everything that I knew, everything that I was like normal to me, everything that I kind of learned over the years, like how many years of my life, maybe like 8 years or something, he basically just started to break it all down. Like, he broke down the parts that was not him, and then he kept the parts that was him up. There's certain things in my life that just started not going well. As in, like, it's funny because even like your school, like work, like I just knew that there's certain things, and I knew it wasn't me because I haven't done anything and I'm not doing anything crazy. So why is just like some things, all the plans that I had, because for me, my plan for my life was not this. My plan for my life was that I just want to finish my uni, do my school, which was into creativity, go into like fashion marketing, something to do with the creative world, but into marketing and promotions or graphics and all those kind of things. But just being a creative, I just wanted to be creative and I just wanted to be in the fashion art world. That's what I wanted to do. But I want to be incognito, have my job, grow, invest, make money, be rich, but no one knows my name. That's the life I wanted for myself. That's the life that I wanted for myself. Like, I don't want to be famous. That's why when I started my podcast, I started when I was 19. At that time, I was being a seeker. That's why I started my podcast first, right? I started because the things that I was learning, like, you know, understanding myself, you know, things I was learning. I wanted to like start documenting it. And I started to document it after I found out about podcasts and I decided to start recording it. But I was recording, I didn't really understand like that it was something that other people could listen to like that at that time. Like anyone can find it. No. Until like I started having emails at that time. I was like 19, 20. I started having emails and people would like message me and like, oh, I found your podcast. This was really good. And then 2-3 episodes in, uni just got so hectic that I couldn't even think about picking up my phone to press record and just record on my phone and post it. I didn't even think about it. And I think also God did that on purpose. I think he knew that I don't want her to prematurely start something that is not time yet. And the things that she's even learning now is still a bit dibbly-dabbly. It's not really 100%. So I don't want her to be putting things out now where she's still finding so many things out. I don't want her to be putting, like, building a foundation on something that isn't really 100% me yet. It has a bit of me in there, but it's not really fully me. And I think God did that on purpose. Why I stopped. After 3 episodes, like, I just stopped. And I never thought, I kind of forgot about it for 2 years until, you know, yeah. And then 2022, I went through something crazy and I can't talk about it because it's really personal, but going through that thing, I was just, again, went through the stage of like, I want to, like, what am I supposed to be doing? Because God, like, I feel like I'm kind of lost. I kind of feel like I don't really know what I'm doing. Like, I know about this thing, but I don't know. And I feel like what I kind of like want my life to be, what I've built for myself isn't really, it's like something keeps blocking me. Like, I just want to be incognito. I just want to, you know, continue my fashion and my creative stuff and just live very quiet life, but just like build and be very successful quietly. Like, but I feel like something is always blocking something. And I remember I was going to work one night and I just heard, it was like, log back into your podcast. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot I even had a podcast, you know. And I downloaded the app that I used again, which was that time Anchor. I don't know how I remembered my password or even the email that I used at the time, but somehow I remembered everything. I just logged in and I remember I was on the phone with my boyfriend at the time and I was like, babe, you know I have a podcast, right? He was like, what? What? And this time we've been dating for like almost a year. So he was like, wait a minute, I'm not married to my podcast. What you talking about? And I told him about it and I was like, I just had a voice to do this. And he was like, send it to me. And then she was like, yeah, you're going to do this, bro. You're going to do it. So I logged back in and I just started again. Like, I literally just continued from where I left off. And I started talking about the things I was going through at that time, you know, going through ups and downs. And again, I just continued from where I left off, weirdly. Just continued. And but I was still kind of, the things I was talking about, right? It was still not fully God like how I'm talking about it now. It was like God, but sometimes the universe will come in there, which is basically the things I was learning from 15, 16 was still finding a way and creeping. So it was like, you're talking about God or like you're talking about things it was very encouraging. All my episodes, right, since that time has always been encouraging, inspiring, and educational. And it's always helped people. I've persuaded people that it's helped. But it wasn't really how God wanted me to do it. That's how I would say. It wasn't really how God wanted me to do it fully. It was like 60% God, but you have a 40% of like maybe something that's not God attached to it. And I think God did it on purpose. So from ending of 2022 is when I started seeing like a collapse. It was like everything that I knew and everything that I planned for my own life was just collapsing. My job, everything was just like coming to a standstill. Like everything was just collapsing. And I knew something was happening, but I didn't know what. And I remember I traveled to Ghana to basically do my first event in Ghana for the podcast. And it was absolutely amazing. But people never knew what was going behind the scenes. Whereas like everything in my life felt like was standing still. But the podcast and everything that I was doing with the podcast was moving like blazing. So I got to understand that this thing, God wants me to do it. Everything else, I need to let go of it. Whatever life I plan for myself, because I always dibble and dabble and always feel like, nah, I don't want to do this podcast thing. I don't want to put my face out there. I don't have to be speaking to people every day. Always like having to message people and speak to people and have this responsibility of always social media. Because I didn't have a social media. I did not have social media. I didn't have Instagram, Snapchat, all these things. I didn't have it. And I had a very peaceful life. And that's how I wanted my life to be. I didn't want to be on social media. Even till now, today, I have moments where like, I just don't want to be on social media, but I have to be for what I do. And I knew that God was like, babes, whatever life you plan for yourself, that's not what I want for you. So this thing that's working, this is what I want you to do. Everything else, leave it behind. And I just kind of surrendered a bit, but I still didn't fully surrender. And 2023, from January, God just started, like, you know, I'm telling you since I was a kid, I've been having prophetic dreams and just been a big dreamer from childhood, right? I started having dreams that was like serious revelations, like serious revelations. And God was showing me things into my family. It was like things into family generational curses, generational traumas that people in my family didn't even know about. I was speaking about to my mom. My mom was like, how the heck did you even know that? Oh my God, that makes sense. And I'm like, yeah, this person did this back. One of your grandparents did this, right? God was taking me back into my family bloodline and showing me things that is their witchcraft, things that was demonic, that was put altars that needed to come down that I never knew about. And even people that I fought in my family that do like my heart. They were like people that I loved and I cherished, right? God was showing me this person's a witch. You didn't know that this person is this. This person, they practice this thing. This thing here in your family line, the reason why these people here, they act like this way is because of an altar your grandfather raised at that time. That's why this person is like this. It's not their fault. Like, there are people in your family that you know they live a certain life, or certain things that don't go for well for them, or they do good. Some people, they do good. And God is like, the reason this person does good is because they live this life. The reason God just started opening my eyes into my family. He wasn't showing me things about the world or about myself or about, nothing like that. It was about strictly my family. And I got to understand, he was teaching me on warfare. He was starting to teach me on war, literally warfare. And when I have those dreams, it's like the negative energies and the altars that was raised and witchcraft things in my family, like they knew that this girl knows. So I started having dreams where I'm fighting in my dreams all the time. The people that I thought was really good, that I thought, oh, this is an auntie and uncle, or this person. And I just loved them and I just thought this person is positive and everything. And God will show me who they really are and like the spirit that they carry and how it really is. It's like they knew all the time because I didn't tell no one. Some of them I didn't even tell. I remember when I was a kid, right, from like maybe 13, 14, I started telling my dad about things to do with his family that he needed to be careful of, right? That's what I'm saying. Like from childhood, I've always had dreams that was very, So when I started seeing things of people that didn't carry, I always knew people that didn't carry the best. I knew some people that didn't carry the best energies because God was starting showing it to me when I was 13, 14 anyway, which I was used to my dad about it because mostly his family. It was mostly his family and things in his bloodline that needed to be sorted out, or like things in his family that people were doing that was not it. That had actually effect on him and even was trying to have an effect on us or my brother or something. So I knew that. But now it was more going towards my mother's side. Like God was showing me, because my mom's side, I never really saw things like that. God was like showing me things on my mom's side and then showing me things on my dad, and really was showing me things on altars that was raised, bloodlines from 5 generations ago. 4 generations ago, like people that didn't even know that I'd never grew up to meet them. I was seeing them, and it was like picture detail stuff. And then people that are alive now, and things that they've been doing, and things that they're into. And God, some of the things broke my heart. Like it's funny now, it wasn't funny then when I was seeing it. There's times I'll wake up and I'll be crying because the fighting I just fought my dream. Like there's times I'll have those dreams, like in 2023, right? And then I'll be in the dream, I'll be praying certain prayers in my dreams that was like tongues or like just regular prayers. But then things will be happening, and then I'll wake up, I'll go back to sleep again, and I'll have retaliations in my dream. Because you're like, why the heck is this one praying this prayer? Why the heck, how did she know this was there? How did she know this? And God was showing it to me. And this was using me to do a lot of like cleansing in my bloodline. That's how I would say it. So I was going through a lot of warfare. That's when I really got to understand warfare, because when I was also in uni, right, at 19, 18, after I got the revelation of like my calling of being a deliverer and everything, I started to have sleep paralysis. So I knew a little bit of what sleep paralysis was. But this time, I will have dreams where something is trying to sit on me. But I'll wake up and I'm fine. Like I wouldn't have the, the numbness of like nobody able to get up. But because I knew what sleep paralysis was from 2 years prior, 3 years prior, I knew what they were trying to do. I knew that they were trying to make me go into sleep paralysis. And sleep paralysis can kill you. It's a very dangerous thing. It's a very demonic thing. I knew, but it was God that was saving me. So God was just showing me things. He was just showing me, this is what they're trying to do. This is what's coming. This is what it is. But he always protect me in it. The certain things there's dreams I was having, right, about certain people that I thought were so lovely. I thought they were so good. Like I never had anything in me that was like bad or like, oh, I've seen this. And God had never shown me anything that was negative like this person. Or I never had any discernment feeling of this person isn't ill, this person is not ill. And something broke my heart because I thought this was my people. I thought these people were good. And they were almost was family. Yep. So sometimes I would doubt, I'll be telling God like, God, this one, I don't think this dream is from you. I don't think this, there were some dreams that were so deep that I just be like, God, it's not from you. I'll be denying it because something will break my heart. It will break me. right? And I'll be denying it. And I remember one dream that God showed it to me 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Because I was so in denial of that thing that I was like, there's no way, God, like, this was really happening in here. This was really going on. And I was so much in denial that he showed me to me 8 times, all the way through 2023, all the way towards the end. And that specific dream was about deliverance. Something he wanted to me. There were people, since I was a child, right, that was trying to initiate me into witchcraft. And God was showing me all of it. And was showing me who they were. That was literally purposely trying to initiate me into witchcraft. You know, witchcraft, right? Usually times, when a kid is born into a family, they see the star that you carry, they see what you carry. And they will try to like get you from childhood. Like they'll try to like arrest your spirit and put you and literally like put you into that thing. From the day that I was born, how it was either she's dead or either she's part of us. Because whatever she's carrying, she's going to be a disruptor to our kingdom one day. Then that God was showing me that. And I just couldn't believe it. Like, I don't know, sometimes it's like, I just didn't want to believe that was real. And I remember my mom always told me, like, so when I was born, I almost died at 3 months because I had pneumonia. And they never understood where that pneumonia came from. And I almost died. But somehow I didn't die. I'm still here. But she details like what I went through at that time. My grandmother's actually the one who really details it for me, who really detail it for me. And she was like, literally, you was basically almost literally a dead baby. And somehow I'm here. And God started showing me into that time, like back to then, like graphical images, was like visions back then, what that even was. And all the way through my life, like moments and, you know, why he protected me from not going too deep into doing certain things or like researching certain stuff. Even though I went through a bit of my seeking stage at 14, 15, why he still made sure he preserved me from not going too much into certain things and getting too, and where maybe it was like witchcraft or demonic, or start practicing certain things of witchcraft and demonic. The furthest I went was yoga and meditation. The reason why he preserved that, because it would have been very easy for them to get me, because that has always been the thing that they wanted anyway. And so around June, it was around May, because my birthday's in May 10th, right? Around April ending, I started having this feeling of like, something's about to change. But I didn't know what. And everything in my life came to a standstill. Jobs, everything came to a standstill. Like I'm talking about, I didn't have work. I wasn't what's it called? I was confused on what to do next after school, because I wanted to go to school. I wanted to do other things with school, but I didn't know what. And I didn't know, do I look for another job? Because I have the means to look for another job and I can get it. But looking for a job, everything just was like standstill. Like nothing was moving in life. Nothing. But somehow I knew that something was going to happen. And it got to a point, right? And because of the dreams that I was having and things that I was having every single night, I'll wake up tired. Sometimes I'll be going to, I'll be at home and I'll be so tired because the things I've seen, the things I've been witnessing, I'll wake up tired, and then sometimes throughout the day, I'll have premonitions. I'll have like visions throughout the day. And I didn't tell anybody. I didn't live alone, but I didn't tell no one like what I was seeing or what was happening. Sometimes I'll be in the kitchen cooking and I'll see things like something standing behind me, like something like there's war going on behind me. And I'll be scared to turn around to just look like, what's going on behind me? Like I feel like I can see something, like a shadow behind me, because I knew that it's coming. The war that is going on in my dreams, my revelations, is coming to physically. And I knew. So I think God kind of stopped the whole thing of like looking for a job, the school, everything. I think God did that all of that on purpose. Like, girl, everything's coming to standstill. Because in this moment, I just want to show you things. I just want to train you. And so I knew something was happening. So around, after my birthday in May, something in me just changed. I don't know what it was, but something. And I knew that I've stepped into a season where the next couple years of my life is about to shift. I just knew, but I didn't know what. But I always remember that dream that I had then at 19, where it was like the deliverance dream, but I didn't know exactly what. So June, at the end of that month, June, I kind of stopped the whole thing of trying to figure out, job and trying to plan my life and doing mood boards and all these things that we all be doing and planning everything out, because I'm one of those people, if I want something, I'm going to have it. Like, that's just how I've always been my whole life. And I have the favor and the mercy of, if I go for something, God gives it to me. Unless it's out of his word that I don't get it. But anything that's within his word, I will have it. It's always been like that. I don't struggle with certain things. And that's just mercy and just favor. So I knew that if I really wanted the things that I want, if I really wanted it, I can get it. So it's not me that's not trying to get it or not working hard enough. It's God that's doing it. So in June, I remember that day, ending of June was like around like 20th of June or something like that, 2023. I was just in bed watching a movie, and I started having this big ass headache. Like, and I started feeling overwhelmed. I started feeling just like this thing of like, I felt like the whole world was on my head. You know when you're having those migraines, at this point, it's not even a headache, it was a migraine. Like, I can feel it in my eyes, I can feel it in my head, I can feel it on my shoulders. And I felt like I was carrying this thing that was so heavy that I was just trying to just continue the day. And I just felt like I wanted to cry. So I just started crying. I didn't know why I was crying. I started crying. Then all of a sudden, something was just like moved from the bed, and I went to sit right in the middle of my room, like on the floor, right in the middle of the floor. And I just started, I don't know how, I just started praying. And I just started crying. Like, I'm talking about head, like cry. You know when you're crying when there's snot coming out of your mouth, where you don't even know why you're crying, but at the same time, you are just crying too much that you know there's a reason why this crying is happening. God, I can't be crying like this and I don't know what's happening. That kind of cry. Whereas like, if anyone is standing next to you, they'll be thinking probably you're dying or something. Like, it's that kind of crying, right? Like loudly, crazy, snot coming, dripping, everything. And I just started hitting the floor. And I just started to tell God, God, this isn't the story that you've written. Rewrite the story. It was like that moment I was basically just surrendering. I was like, God, it was a surrender moment. God brought me to the moment of like complete surrender. Like, now I have you and I'm good. It's time. And I need you out of your mouth to say the words of surrender and completely invite me in completely, like out of your mouth will come. That kind of thing. And you see how he's basically, from the beginning of 2023, all the revelations, all the things, he kind of planned it to that point of June. So I knew that, I was like, God, the story that was written before was not a story of you. It wasn't like, this is not the story. This is not, like the things, how I've been planning my own life and the things that I want and how my life to be, blah, blah, blah. This is my own story. Like, this is what I want for myself, right? Rewrite that story. Like, I'm okay with you rewriting the story. I've completely surrendered. Like, rewrite the story. Like, take over. Like, just take over. That's the only thing I kept repeating. Like, I just kept repeating. I didn't know I was repeating it, but I just kept repeating those words, kept repeating, and just like praying and just like crying. And when I finished crying, I went out to the park. Like nothing has happened. And I knew that from that day forth, God did something. There was something else different. I was just saying there 2 days after, I had a call for a job. I didn't apply for it. They just called me. We want you to come and do this. We want you to be management in this and this and this and this. I was like, okay. I was like, God, is it you? He said, yeah. I went, I did it. I went to that place. I did a lot of changes there. Within a month, another place called me. I didn't apply for it. That place, I actually worked there before, but I wasn't working for them. I was working through an agency, so I wasn't working with them like permanently. They called me like, we want you permanently. We want you to come in and do this. We want you to be a manager. This. I was like, what? The thing that they even wanted me to even come and do, I've not even done it before. That's not my expertise. They were like, yeah, but we've worked with you. We know your strengths. We know your weakness. That you can do it. I said, God, is it you? I've been on this place for 1 month. I've done a lot of changes here since I've been here for 1 month. But is it you? Because it's been a bit premature. I don't want to leave prematurely or something. He said, yeah, it's me. I went and I was there for 2 years. I just left recently. And so at that moment, I knew, let's go. I was just like, okay, let's go. It's time to go. Let's go. And I knew that was all of it, was basically just God. And from then, the warfare didn't stop. All of those things didn't end. I think in September 2023, God basically, that's when God started to deliver me from that, like a covenant that they were trying to put onto me from childhood, which was like the witchcraft covenant they were trying to put me into, where they're trying to initiate me into that thing, where like, you know, basically like a work for the kingdom of the enemy. God started to like deliver me, right? So I remember 2 weeks before the thing happened to me, I was having dreams where it's like I got really sick, where like I had a sore on my back, like a big sore on my back, like a sore that was like dripping with like fluid, like just like a big sore on my back. And it's like I went home to London to my parents' house, and then my brother was like, why do you have that on your back? Like, and I was like, what? I look back, it's like a big sore just there. And I was like, oh, I'll be fine. And when I said I'll be fine, I just started healing. I saw it healing. Then I woke up, I prayed. I had a dream where I was like, I was somewhere and I see like a body in the water, but the body was so big. It was like a big body, it looked like the whole water was basically embodying this body. Like, it was like a stream of water, like a river, right? But in the river, I could see a woman's body laying in the river that was so big that basically was like taking over the whole river. But it was like deep down, and then the woman just rose up. It was like she was dead. She was like dead. She had like, people are dead for a long time and then it's just covered with like, the sand and everything. It was like that. And she just rose up. And when she rose up, she was wearing like a nursing outfit, a nursing, uniform. And she came and she gave me a medicine. And she was like, take it. And I was like, no. And then she was like, take it. And then the thing is, at that time, right, it looked like it was me that was speaking to myself. Like the way she was dressed and her hair and everything, it felt like it was me. When I woke up, I was like, this is like me. So I took it, right? And then I woke up, I prayed, I went into another dream, saw something a bit different, woke up again, prayed. 3 days later, I started having these rashes on my skin. And I just thought it was like heat rashes, because I get heat rashes a lot. If like, my body can't really take a lot of heat. Like I get heat rashes. Like when I travel to Ghana or like a hot country, I get heat rashes like the first couple of days and after then it goes, because my body has to get used to it. So I thought it was heat rashes, right? Because it was like, September, we were starting a bit of summer and everything. And then, but it would be very scratchy. Very quickly, within a week, I started having these big, like, looking like hives. Big sores. The little scratches, it was not red. It was not painful. Like, this big, like, all over my skin, like, and what's funny? It was never on my face, never on my neck. It was all from, like, here down, all the way to, like, my knees. I'll see it, my arms, everything, right? And it was painful. I couldn't sleep. I'll be crying. No one knew what was going on. Apart from my boyfriend, I knew. My family didn't know, no one, because I was like, I don't want to make anyone scared. And so I was like, let me just go to the hospital. Let me go to the GP, because these like things are like, it looking like, am I getting an allergic reaction? I've had this for about almost a week now, and it's really bad. It's getting really bad now. The GP saw me and she said, I don't know what this is. This is not hives. This is not chicken pox. I have no idea what is going on with your body. I don't know what's going on. I can prescribe you something for, allergic reaction, but I don't know what it is, literally. And she's like, I hope you figure it out, but if it's, I don't think it's an allergic reaction, but I have to give you something. She gave me something for allergic reaction. I came home and I said, God, I've gone to the GP. They said it's not them. It's not a hospital thing. I saw the dreams that you gave me a week before. God, something is happening. The past week, I have suffered for 1 week now. My body, I can't sleep. I'll be crying. I'll be walking around here going to work in pain. No one knows. It's just me and you that know, and my boyfriend also knows. That's it. What is going on? And I just started praying, I'll just go to my prayers and everything. I think 3 days after, so I was basically trying to still use what the GP gave me, and it wasn't working. So I think 3 days after, I was like, nothing is changing. It's just getting worse. Nothing is working. My body feels so like rough and so sore and so bumpy and everything. My body just, it's like I didn't recognize my skin anymore, my body anymore. In the evening, I finished bathing. I just sat on my floor. I just prayed. I was like, Holy Spirit, I need you. I need you to give me what it is that I need to do to get this thing off my skin. Because this is not a physical thing. This is spiritual. This is an attack. This is something. So what is going on? And I remember, and God reminded me, because so basically, about 3 weeks before I started having the dreams, after the whole skin rashes and everything came in, God told me to take off my waist bead. So I've always had that waist bead since I was a child. It was given to me by family. Like, yeah. I've always, since I was like a baby, they always put waist bead around me. And so when I just grew up, like, they just change it like that. So I grew up having waist bead around my waist all my whole life. God literally told me, go downstairs. I was just sitting there, and God said, go downstairs and cut out those waist beads. I went down and I cut it. Because at that point, I've understood obedience, and I've understood what I'm fighting against, and I've understood what's going on. Because the whole year, I know what's going on. I know what's happening, and God has revealed enough to me. It's not that I'm going to become. There's no time. This is not the stage of what's it called? Anything you hear, anything God says, or anything you see, you're now questioning. I know what I've been going through the whole year. I know what God has been showing me. I know the warfare I've been fighting. So when God will say, I'll just do it, and I cut off the waist bead, and God, the Holy Spirit took me back to that time. You know that waist bead that you cut? That waist bead was a deliverance instruction. That thing that basically they wanted to do to you from since you was a child, of initiating you into witchcraft, they was using that waist bead to try it. Even though you had that waist bead on your waist for 2 decades, God made sure that thing that they put on it never worked on you. Because it was from childhood that they wanted to do that. So you've had this waist bead around your waist for how many years? How many 2 decades? But you've been fine. to completely finish off that deliverance that we've been delivering you for the whole year, that cut right there that you cut that waist bead off, was basically God complete delivering you from that. It's saying, yeah, she's mine. And the thing that you're going through right now of your skin is a retaliation of what basically what you did last 3 weeks. They're retaliating to it, right? And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And then so that was that. So Holy Spirit basically told me like what I needed to do for my skin. I had an anointing oil that I already prayed over and everything. So he told me take it, pray over it, and put it all over your skin. I took it, I prayed over it, put it over my skin. And the next night, I woke up the next day. My skin was like when snakes shed their skin? That's how my skin was. All the bumps and the roughness and the rushes and the big blobs of like spots that I had on my skin, it was like I basically just like I don't know how to explain it. It was like literally a snake shedding their skin. And now all the rushes and bumps and spots, everything was like down, was like flattened. And I woke up and I was like, God. Yeah. But it wasn't like completely just like gone. I was still going through it. It took about 2 months for it to all completely be gone. I still have some of the scars, some of the like, the pigmentation from it. Yeah, but before it was worse. Now it's much better now. Like it's been like almost 2 years. So it's like much, much better. But yeah, and that's a testimony actually right there. That's how God worked on that. And obviously then I just still going through 2023, going through. I remember one night, right, I had the dream again, right, about them trying to basically still put the thing on my skin, like, the sore. Why I saw this when I was like, God, I just said, God, why do I have to be going through this warfare? Like, I pray, I do this, like, why? And then I remember also, I had a dream about my dad. So God was also using me to deliver my dad from a lot of things like that. He'd even about death, premature death, and certain things. God was showing it to me. So I was doing a lot of prayer for my dad through that. So even though I was praying for myself and I was going through my own wahala, God was using me to do a lot of prayer for my dad. So I remember I had a dream about my dad, and I was having a dream about my dad like about death for time. And so one time I just was like, God, this is so much. Like, I don't even know what to pray anymore. I don't know, like, and I know you keep showing it to me because you want me to keep seeing it. Look at what's happening to my skin. Look at what you're showing me about my dad. Like, look, like, why so much pain? And I felt like something was in my room, standing in the corner. And the Holy Spirit told me, look on that side of the corner of the room, stop praying and stop begging and start declaring. And that moment, God taught me the power of authority. You see, as Christians, right, there's some Christians that you pray, but your prayer is really begging. You're not really praying, you're just begging. You are like a mouse, like very meek. And there's also Christians who pray and they declare and decree and they stand in authority. And God basically showed me that point, stop begging. Why are you begging? You know at this point when you know what's going on. Don't beg me, stand in authority and declare what you want and it's going to happen. So I just stood up, I looked at one corner of my room and I knew something was there that was looking over me that was not good. And I just started declaring, I was like, the things that you think you're doing to me, you think you've won over me. At that point, I knew that it wasn't even me that was speaking those things. I knew the Holy Spirit was speaking through me. And I was like, you think you've done this thing to my skin. You take me through all this pain. I'm going through all these things, but you think you're winning. Let me tell you something. It's not you that's winning, or it's not you that have won the battle, won something. God has allowed these things to happen to me because he wants me to be trained in warfare. He's training me in warfare and what it is to go through warfare and different types of it. So don't be thinking you've won or that you've sent something my way and it's got to me and I'm sick and or don't be thinking you've won. No, you have not won. It is God who has allowed it to happen. Because any warfare you sent to me that God has allowed it to happen, he's using it for his own favor, for his own glory. It's not about you. And I felt the thing get so angry. It's like my room was like anger in my room. I couldn't see anything, but I knew something was standing in that corner and I could feel the energy of that thing. And I was so angry and I just started declaring, I was like, I am a warrior in God. And every single warrior goes to war and I am made for battle. And that's when God started to speak about David. He was like, you're a David. I didn't make you to be anything else. You are a David. I will teach your hands how to war and your fingers how to battle. So don't ever think that you're not going to go to warfare or that you're going to come in me and no. You are a deliverer. And before you can be a deliverer, you also have to be delivered. And you also have to understand warfare. What I have called you to do and what I have made you to become and what it is that assignment that I've given you to come here to do on this earth, you are not I don't want to be God's strongest soldier. Those things are not you. So you can stop, you can put that thing to the side. You are David. David went through from the first time you see David like in the Bible and everything, from fighting with lions. He was fighting with lions and chasing lions. He was, what is it called? and I had a warfare with what's it called, Goliath, and won that, to then fighting with, Saul, and then all the battles that David had to fight. He was like, you are David. Like I told David, I will teach your hands how to battle, your fingers how to war. So start studying authority, because this is your calling. And what I want to do with you, I cannot take you there and put you there until you've gone through some of the things yourself, and also understand how important authority is when you're dealing with these things. And he used, again, as I was saying, when you go through things, God will use this for his own glory. So from that day forth, right, I knew what it was, and that was that. And so now if you come back into, let's just now move to 2024. So I now go to understand warfare, understand. So basically 2023 was a year of, first was surrendering, and also God teach me warfare and teaching me my calling, teaching me what I'm called to do, why I'll be going through certain things, why certain things will happen to me that maybe will not happen to other people, why he will allow certain warfare to come to me and actually affect me and get to me. He will not block it. Now, lots of times Christians love to act like, because I belong to God, nothing will harm me. He said, baby, that's not your story. Sorry, sometimes some of the things will hurt you. I will allow it to come to you. Some of the things I will allow it to happen, not for them so that they can have some glory, but for me, because I'll use it for your favor. So I remember, if you guys remember 2024, when I started up the podcast again, because I went through 2 months of not recording anything, because it was fighting season, bro. It was not time to recording. When I came back in 2024 beginning, one of the first episodes that I released was about warfare that is part of the process. You can go and listen to it. It was called Warfare is Part of the Process, because at that time, by then, I knew that warfare is part of the process. And some people just need to understand that. And God was like, I took you through that in 2023. You need to do an episode on this and let some people understand that warfare is part of the process. Not everyone's going to have it easy. Not everyone's going to have it this. And depending on your calling and your assignment, warfare will be part of your process. And it's mine. It's part of my process. And I've accepted it now. Even last year, I remember, I think I did this, this year for my birthday, I released a testimony on my Instagram and also on the TikTok as well. And it was the way I was thanking God for my birthday, because last year, my birthday, I was in the hospital. I was literally battling death and life. And that was warfare as well. And so if I'm here this year and I didn't go through that, I was giving thanks to God in that testimony. But that is literally my story of from childhood, going through everything, going through my seeker stage, how God allowed me to understand my calling, how he allowed me to also seek and also just do my thing, but also had mercy and grace over me to keep me not going too far. And then how he basically brought me back, really understanding how he put everything to standstill for me, and basically then got me to surrender, taking me through warfare, understanding that training me in warfare, he's still training me in warfare, revealing so many things, revelations, and getting me to understand who I am, what I am, and what I am in him, and what he wants to use me for. And we basically been going very strong since then. I know this episode is very long, but it had to be because I couldn't just leave certain things out just so I can have a 20-minute episode. This is not a 20-minute episode. This is not a 25-minute episode. This has to probably be maybe more than 30 minutes, more than 40 minutes. And I know that this, when we finished season 2 of the podcast, right, I told God that, what do you want me to do for season 3? Because I don't want to do my own things. I've gotten to a point in you that everything is about you and about what you want. It's not about my words, but what you want. And one of the things that he said was, season 3's episode, season 3's episodes, start the first episode with a testimony of how I arrested you. Your life, your story, and how basically I got you to stand still, to a point where you have to surrender and everything. Tell them your testimony of your story with me and how we've been since you was a child till now. That's how you're going to start this season. And then the other ones he gave me about some of the episodes he wants me to do and things like that. And we'll go from there. So I knew that starting this season, I had to do this because I've never said this story everywhere anywhere. I've also never told any testimony anywhere. But this year, he did tell me that this is a year of you sharing your testimonies, because you haven't really shared any testimony anywhere. People go to church and they share testimony in church all the time. I've never done that. God knows I'm thankful because I do it within my room. But I've never really been sharing testimonies online, sharing testimonies in public, in people. And I've never really God has never told me to go and do those things, so I don't do it. But this year, he told me, this season, you'll be sharing a lot of testimonies from this season. And this year, you step into, because now, obviously, it's been 2 weeks now since my birthday. He was like, this year that you're in is a testimony season as well. And it's time to speak about some of the things that we've gone through, some of the waters we've crossed, some of the hurdles that we've crossed. And it's okay now for you to voice it out loud. It's that time now. So, because I believe in also not sharing testimonies prematurely. But yeah, and that is the end of the episode. And I'm like, damn, you got me fever through that, girl. God is so good. And one thing I want you to understand, like, from my story is how that God is very intentional. Don't ever think God is just there. He's just, no, God, he knows what he's doing. Yeah, God is very intentional and he knows exactly what he's doing. And your life is not a free ball. It's not a free ball. It's not a, I just do what I want. This is it. God has a timing for everyone. Even in this season of my life, this new age that I'm in now, I know what this season is about. I know what this season requires of me. I know who God has called me to be in this season, because there's certain things that he called me to be in other seasons that he doesn't want me to be in this season. I know what his will is. So there's no way of life where you're like, I just do what I want. This is what I want, so that's why I do it. This is what I feel like, so that's what I do today. You can be like that, you can do that. But when is your time? And when God has said that this is the time I've ordained for you, trust me, he's going to arrest you. He allowed me to, dibble into things and learn about certain things and, dibble and dabble and stuff like that. He allowed it. Until he wanted to show himself in his own time when I was 19. And then he still allowed me, even after 19, to, learn about certain things, figure it out, go through certain things, learn about certain stuff, all those things there. But still being him. So basically, it's like a lukewarm a bit. Yeah, I'll be saying a bit lukewarm. It's like you're in Christ, you pray and everything, but you still, be doubling and stuff. And then to a point where 2022 ending, to 2023, he basically just was like, yeah, it's time now, babes. Let's go. He's very intentional. He knows the life that he has for you. He knows exactly when is your time. He knows exactly everything you're doing. You can't hide anything from God. And you do not belong to yourself, you belong to him. So he has the blueprint, he has the keys for everything. And those doors will unlock at his own time. And it's not you that's going to be forcing the doors to be breaking down. No. And I just want you guys to look at my story and know that the favor of God and the mercy of God is very huge. Because for me, my life is favor and mercy. It's favor and mercy. It's not my mind, my power. And I always tell people that my life is favor and mercy. Because there's some things I even left out because they're really personal. But my life is favor and mercy. And it will always be that in the name of Jesus. So now I just want to pray. Then we end this episode off, okay? Father, Lord, thank you so much. Oh, I'm so happy. I have so much joy in me. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me the strength, giving me the ability, the wisdom, the understanding, the knowledge, Lord, Father, to be able to speak of my testimony, to be able, for the first time ever publicly, to be able to tell the journey that we have been on publicly to the world. I am grateful for the journey. I am grateful for what you've done, for your mercy and your favor. I call you my Elroy because you're the God who really sees me. Like you've been seeing me, have seen me all the way through. Like you are my Elroy, and I say that with 10 toes down because I know that you are a God who sees me. And anybody who is not in you, hasn't surrendered to you yet, I pray that you touch their hearts to surrender to you completely. I pray that you touch their hearts, Lord, to know that you are the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. There's nothing out there for them. There's nothing out here. Let them see you, let them hear you, let them know you. I pray that this episode becomes a deliverance for other people, a reference point for someone to stand up and be like, God, what you also did for Akosua, what you taking it through, all the things, Lord Father, do it for me too. And you're able to show them that, yes, when you call out to me, I will show out and show off. Because you are God who shows out and you show off. Every fiber of my being is a worship to you, because my mouth cannot speak enough of worship or sing enough songs or sing enough praises or say enough gratitudes to you for it to be enough of what you've done. I'm grateful. We are all grateful in the mighty name of Jesus, Lord. Amen, amen, amen. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Wherever you're listening from, wherever you're watching from, I'm grateful. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Mwah.